Time to head over there. What the hell is that? Are there just Akashic curls around now? That's annoying.
Caution.
Matagot. Whoa, Ambrosia jumped high. Oh yeah, this little like step area.
These are clean kills. Perhaps young Ember really is ready. Oh, maybe not.
Alright, what's up here?
Damn it. Ember, draw your sword!
I can't.
Then run! If you want him, you'll have to go through me.
Just need this, just like all the others that we've fought. I messed up my thing there because I thought it was on Phoenix. Drink tonic. What? That was weird. It didn't like the buttons I was holding, I guess, at that moment. And this will do more damage to stagger. There we go. Consider that one done. Dragon Talon.
Ember, are you... gone? Of course. Scouts really are a rare breed. Back to Northreach it is, then.
Right, this should clear out this one, I think. The Sambrek quests, at least.
Got any more of those special elixirs?
I didn't expect you back so soon. Where is Ember? How did he fare?
I thought I'd find him with you. He must have fled. I followed him to Eastwatch, where I found him being set upon by a wild Avis. He was just standing there. Didn't even draw his sword. I had to step in and take care of things. But by the time I had, he was nowhere to be seen. I assumed he'd set off in your direction, but apparently not.
I'm sorry, Sid. I knew the boy had a nervous streak, but he seemed like...
The right man for the job?
Huh.
I believe this is the logbook you tasked me with retrieving.
Ah.
How did you... Don't you tell me you breached the tower while Sid was busy saving your skin.
What? Wasn't that what you asked me to do? To bring the thing back without getting caught?
He has you there, Nazaire. And he did it all on his own.
But Sid, he
did what he thought was best. And now I have to decide whether I agree.
Of course. We'll await your evaluation back at the hideaway. Don't you leave my sight.
Okay, then.
Yes, Sergeant.
That's fun. I love someone who can pull the wool over my eyes. Good for him. He earned it. Quentin and Galton's bales. Okay. Just be over there, right?
Back to the stables, Carl. Quentin, I have a proposal for you.
Do you now? Something tells me you'll be asking more of me than a cask of Gotand gold. Go on then. Propose. You'd have me convince the chiefs and chamberlains of the realm that they should simply swallow their pride and do the one thing that has proved impossible for thousands of years. Was there anything else? Perhaps I can fetch you a meat pie as well.
I know it's a lot to ask, but I can think of none better suited to the role.
And you'd have me give up what little I have left to do it. I told you, Clive. The people of Lostwing are my family, and I cannot abandon them. You'll have to find someone else.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So am I.
And why might that be?
What he's asking. How's it any different to what you've done so far? They want you to speak for those who can't speak for themselves. That's what you do best. If it's the vineyard you're worried about, we'll see that the grapes are picked and the tons filled. You know we will.
It's not that.
Then what is it? You said yourself we're family. Don't you trust us?
You know that's not what I'm...
Then what are you saying? That only we are worth saving? Why turn your back on everyone else? You convinced us we could build new lives for ourselves, and if you can do that, who's to say you couldn't convince the entire realm?
Wouldn't be too bad a leader.
Stirring argument. I fear that any rejoinder I make might fall somewhat flat by comparison.
He does have
So
legal
you'll join
experience.
us?
Where do you need me?
Field Marshal Havel will want to speak with you in person. He's currently in Port Isolde. I can arrange for a party of Cursebreakers to accompany you there.
That would be very much appreciated. I hear the roads are far from safe these days.
Hopefully not for long. My
Right.
uncle will want to know that his...
So now we'll go back to the world map and we will check. What are the farthest places we need to go for stuff? We will want to go there. Let's do these one at a time. All right.
Fly, Ambrosia.
Scoot, Ambrosia. Yeah, I knew it was going to be here. It's that little village.
Don't get surrounded.
Very nice.
The entire village looks abandoned. Now, which house would a bookworm live in?
Oh, this is for finding from a distance. I thought this was for finding the, the Brethren's log or whatever. Ear to Foitito or Tale of Wyvern. White of flower and black of root, the latter of which gives out inky gall or cut when crushed. The tribesmen of North Storm pick their skin with oaken needles soaked in such, drawing curious patterns about their arms and legs in honor of their heathen gods. The gall is passing toxicate. That a single drop taken by mouth may result in cramps for the most painful 5 days and 5 nights, or if applied to a wound, certain death. Should I slip of a needle end of a young warrior's life, it is said that his skin print failed to find favor among the heavens. Interesting.
His interests were certain.
Moogle. No spirit or sprite appears more often in Valisthea folktales than the humble Moogle. Though they are occasionally painted as mischievous souls akin to pixies or imps, most stories depict them as clumsy yet congenial spirits who delight in helping mankind with their daily labors. They are said to have sweet tooths, leading to common superstition that one must not leave cakes or other sweetmeats uncovered overnight. Lest not remain, but crumbs come morning. In appearance, they are described as being covered head to toe in soft white fur, excepting the small dark wings which they somehow able to take flight. And the brightly colored pom-poms that protrude from the top of their heads. And yet there's one detail regarding the Moogle the most find unremarkable than even the orb that tods its brow, the fact that the creatures actually exist. Preposterous, I hear you cry. Everybody knows that Moogles are stuff of legend. I quite agree, but every legend has its basis in truth. In the case of the Moogle, the fact may be not so dissimilar to the fiction. Ancient bestiaries list the white mole whose feet do not touch the ground among the beasts of the realm. The illustration beside the name, why, it is none other than the Moogle. Of course, it is true that the creatures are not known to still survive in the twins in the modern day. Perhaps their miniature wings carried them to other climes, perhaps they are hunted to extinction, or perhaps they do still live among us, hidden far away from human view. From a distance. Chapter 16, The Fall of the Bearers. Interesting. On the nose. The emergence of the first magic adepts was widely heralded as a gift from the gods. Indeed, the title with which those with the gift came to commonly be known as the contraction of the bearer of the heavenly blessing. The wording used by the tribunes of the time. Those born with the blessing were lauded as living crystals and granted high office and plentiful reward for their status as chosen ones. Over the years, this reverence for their kind would become a full-fledged religion led by the bearers themselves, a development that would prove fateful. Diverse nations of the time were unanimous in their disapproval of the founding of the church. Is that just a different way of spelling diverse? That's weird. Or diverse? I don't know. While the authorities had for years welcomed bearers into positions of power in their own structures of the state, they were mistrusting of an organization led by bearers for bearers. Efforts were immediately made to chasten the church and its followers, banning members from holding office, evicting adherents to their homes, and breaking up meetings by force. The church responded by forming a volunteer army to resist the persecution, yet it continued, creating a cycle of ever-increasing bloodshed and rancor, and a growing rift between those born with the blessing and those without. What began with beatings and street clashes would eventually spill over into an all-out war that consumed the greater part of the twins for nigh a generation, and decimated the population of men and bears both, the deluge of blood, that stained the land crimson and left an everlasting mark upon the minds of the Valisthean people. After the bearers' last resistance was crushed, the nations of Valisthea came together to sign the Continental Accord that initiated the system of slavery that persists across the realm to this day. It is well-known phrase, bearers are other than human, has its roots in a bitter war of the years before, being the unblessed's only excuse for the calamitous refusal to allow the blessed to decide their own destinies. I mean, it did kind of sound
what it says is
like
true. I need to get this back to the hideaway.
that church was potentially very corrupt. Royal Intelligencer Training Report. In the wake of the tragic fire at Caer Norvin, 873 Valisthean, and the subsequent depletion of our most highly practiced intelligencers, all mainline strongholds were instructed to redouble training in clandestine maneuvers, improvise weaponry and assassination techniques, and dispatch promising volunteers to Stoner for inspection. This report details progress made by the stronghold at Garnick in reinvigorating Waloed's ranks of intelligencers. This is Garnick, yeah. We're not going to be able to leave because the ninja's going to attack me.
Leaving so soon, stranger. We've been watching you. From a distance, so to speak.
Subtle.
Why wouldn't you just hide the book?
I know who you are.
Then we need not waste time on introductions. Hand me the book. Leave it in our care and return to your life.
Your care? Do you mean to burn it or bury it?
You could have done that before you got here.
That is not my decision to make. But by one means or another, its contents shall be removed from the common record.
Then I'll have to politely refuse. I won't let you erase our history.
Then we find ourselves at an impasse. Very well. The book can just as easily be pried from your dead hand.
Well. And I can just kill you. Okay, I guess they just appeared out of nowhere. Okay. That's kind of goofy. get a double stagger on this one, unfortunately, but I might be able to take him out before he can attack. Yep. Very well.
Impressive. But we have other means. We shall claim the book yet.
You won't.
Why do you want it so badly anyway?
It lays out in no uncertain terms the vanity and avarice of mankind. It tells the shameful history of the persecution and oppression of a gifted few by a giftless many. Would you say that this interpretation was correct?
I don't know.
You don't know. Your sword may be sharp, but your wits are dull. So let me answer for you. There is no correct interpretation of history. That a series of events took place may be proved beyond a doubt. But there can be no single, immutable explanation as to why they came to pass. It is a question of numbers and of belief. If enough people believe that a set of events occurred for a reason, that belief becomes the truth.
So you're trying to control the truth?
We are trying to protect people from themselves, from knowledge that would bring them naught but pain. That is all. You may keep the book, for now.
That's stupid.
The world is small. We shall meet again. Until then.
We probably won't.
Wait. Damn it. Let's get this back to Vivian. Perhaps she can explain what that was all about.
Okay. Litany of errors, and then nobody's tool.
Let's go. Faster!
Yeah, we're gonna want to go over here to do that quest. I think it should be simple. I do admit I am at the stage of the end game where I kinda just want the game to be done, but at the same time, I have enough stamina to make it through, and I've done all the work so far, so why not just finish all this stuff? It is a little tedious, and it does mean you all need to just watch me do this, but I figure those of you who have stuck around this long probably want to watch me just suffer through the last few quests here. And it's a bummer that I'm phrasing it like that, but like, there is so much good in the first half of this game. And I am so truly perplexed by its late game faults. It's a real bummer, and it's kind of interesting to experience this game this way.
Be the orphanage.
Because
hopefully the registry is still here.
I really dug this game. I started extremely into it. I, as it continued, was still into it, and then it just fell apart at like the 60-70% mark. It just stopped being about the things that I enjoyed about it, and it just started being this shonen anime garbage, and it really, really bums me out. The Kingdom of Waloed hereby incorporates this institution wherein juvenile bearers are to be granted the opportunity to give themselves in service to the state as soldiers. Trainees succumbing to the crystal's curse or otherwise perishing are to be disposed of with all haste. The graveyard is strictly reserved for the uncursed. Bearer disposal within its bounds is punishable by death.
Disposed of?
Conditioning schedule. Today's exercise will consist of the press yard, 20 sandbags for each duration as an instructor. Instructor shall dictate. Burn intensity to be gradually increased for the furnace, and then live combat 1 to 3 hellhounds depending on performance.
Conditioning. This is nothing short of torture. Herman wasn't exaggerating.
I've recently learned that my own daughter was among the children turned to stone by the brutal training I subjected them to. I had not so much as thought of her since handing over to the authorities as a babe, but inquiries with the military confirmed it was her. I had been torturing my own flesh and blood, and now I see her everywhere. Today, one of the children smiled at me in hope of receiving a few scraps from my table. It was her smile, the smile she inherited from her mother, the mother I killed for giving birth to a bearer. Their ghosts have all come back to haunt me. My daughters, my wives, all of them, all those children, so many have died at my hand. I can bear the guilt no longer. And so I've decided tomorrow I too must die. It will be the last order I give to those poor wretches, the last torment I subject them to. I will command them to tear me limb from limb and intern my accursed corpse beneath the white tree, whose crooked hands reach to the sky in supplication, and beside me my shame, my curse, the record of all their names, all those I have wronged. All right,
This reads like a suicide note. Did the director go through with his plan?
Yes.
There's only one way to find out.
Man. And I think if this game had better overall quest design, and I don't mean side quests, I just mean quest design in general, more objectives, more interesting ideas, it really could have been something special. I think the combat system...
White tree. This must be the place.
Combat system has a really promising start. It just fails to evolve past its like original version, which is a bummer. You're kind of screwed if you use anything other than your first 3 icons. There's no reason to use the others.
Hidden among the roots. Let's see.
And I really don't believe that would survive that long. I think that would just turn to mush if it was in there.
This must be the registry.
Yeah, paper deteriorates, so I don't know if I buy that. Lithification, emaciation, succumb to conditioning.
So many names. This place was a slaughterhouse.
Sure was.
Where is the architect of all this misery?
I thought he was buried. That's not him.
It was only a matter of time, I suppose.
But I think it's a bummer because one of the things that I've noticed over all of my time recording this game is that there has been a lot of discourse about Final Fantasy XVI and a lot of complaints about this game that are very much centered on this idea that it's not a Final Fantasy game. It's not what Final Fantasy fans want. They want turn-based battles and you know, fantasy stories, and to a lot of people the sci-fi stuff is like what makes Final Fantasy. They want that anime aesthetic, and they're mad when they see things like the fact that this game has cursing in it, or the fact that this game is like, it's just like Game of Thrones, you hear a lot, which is like so stupid and surface level. And it's a bummer because I feel like there are reasons to be frustrated with this game, but no one is really talking about them. I've definitely seen some complaints about the combat being Devil May Cry light, is what people call it. But I don't think the issue is that the combat's simple. The issue is that the combat never evolves. And it never moves past what it is at the very first time you use it, you know? And it's kind of a bummer because there's a lot here to really like. And like, you see people complain about the side quests being boring, and they are boring. I don't like them very much. But you'll see them talk up side quests from other Final Fantasy games as if other Final Fantasy games had good side quests. And they really didn't. Like, there's only like 2 or 3 side quests in Final Fantasy games that I can think of as being actually particularly interesting. And most of them are just like this. And ultimately, it just bums me out because this game is so clearly was affected in production by like COVID and things like that. Like the fact that just the game goes from being this very involved, traversal heavy storyline where you're like walking between places and meeting people and doing interesting things, supplanted by doing a mission, hitting a cinematic, being booted back to the world map. Like the example I think of is when we get to Ash. We worked so hard to build the Enterprise. We did everything we could to make it, so that we could get here as one last ditch effort. We get here, and then it
Doris is
hard
waiting for me
cuts
near
to us
Balmond
naked
Dock.
on the beach.
The longer she's out in the open, the more likely she is to be found by a Kashik. I need to hurry.
You know, it hard cuts to us naked on the beach with Jill. We have this, you know, important moment with her. We get the Shiva power for some reason because that's apparently something we needed to do. I still don't understand why we did that other than to like make us stronger, but why? Like that's not, who cares? Like why did we need that? That doesn't make any sense. The thing that is ultimately confusing in that moment is like we immediately get booted back to the world map with the directive, go back to the hideout.
There were no guards, I take it.
None manning the gates, no. It's a different story inside, though. The corridors are crawling with Akashic. Most likely guards left behind when the wardens ran. If Chadwick was being held here, I worry that he may already be.
Don't give up hope just yet, but let's move quickly. Let me check the ground floor. The ether stick is there.
Then I'll search the upper level. Good luck, Sid. Stay safe.
So what bothers me about this is that there is another world where the
Just how bad are the floods inside the walls? Bad enough to turn a bearer? I hope not.
there is like a world where the second half of this game was one where we are constrained to Relude until we finish, you know, the end game. But it's very clear that with the budget being the way it was, they prioritized the cutscenes first before they built out the levels for them. And so as a result, you know, and that's just conjecture, but as a result, we immediately go back to the hideout because we need a reason for Dion and Mid and everyone to come back together. We need a reason for Jill to inform Joshua, and we need a reason for Joshua to be with us so that we can then immediately go back to Elude and then fight through this gauntlet of fight, cutscene, fight, cutscene, fight, cutscene, and then for Ultima to drop the endgame fight on us, that endgame location, which we again get to entirely through a fast travel menu after the game dumps a bunch of side quests and stuff on us. And it's like, it's so clear that there was a version of this game where we were in Waloed for a very long amount of time, but they just couldn't implement it. So now we just have the entire continent of Ash be 3 fast travel points with some side quest garbage littered across it. And that's such a bummer. Game of Elude hereby designates the facility as a prison for the detainment of bearers, both foreign and domestic. The purpose of this facility is to rear and train a Kuza beast for deployment. The aforementioned purpose is a matter of strictest secrecy. Captive bearers have been provided solely for the pursual of the aforementioned purpose.
So this place was no ordinary prison. And I doubt they'll have taken the creature with them when they fled.
Like, I'm imagining a version of the game where we get to Waloed, we're stranded, we, you know, we come together with Jill, we end up like getting the Shiva stuff, she gives up her powers for some important reason, and then we have to find our way back to Ash, or back to Storm, or whatever the name of the continent is that we originally are on. And I could imagine 10 hours of that, you know, where we're perusing Waloed with only one party member and not a lot of resources as like these foreign fugitives learning about the land. But it's so clear that the game ran out of anything to do with Ash. And so as a result, you see downstream effects with like Barnabas, who just isn't a character, and his entire stuff just gets kind of put to the wayside for him being a nut job. The only other spoken NPC we have in Waloed is Edda, who immediately comes back with us to the hideout. Like, it's just, it's so underdeveloped. And it's weird because what is good about this game, the dialogue writing, the characters themselves, the like interesting ideas at combat are still here. It's just, they suddenly become so threadbare. And I know that I said that the comparison is dumb, but like, it does suffer the end season Game of Thrones issue of going from adapting these lavishly, indulgently written books filled with context to adapting what feels like a bullet point. It's like reading 600 pages into a novel and you get to page 601, and it's 10 bullet points, and then the next 300 pages of the novel are blank pages. And it just becomes so thin. It's such a bummer. Kuza has long been recognized as an especially aggressive species. This being the case, it was hoped that successful deployment on the battlefield might be a means of inflicting heavy casualties on the enemy. In exercises conducted thus far, however, the beast has proven incapable of distinguishing between allied and enemy combatants. As such, deployment alongside regular troops is not recommended. It is proposed instead that bearer captives be employed in order to draw enemy focus, and the beast then driven into a fray in order to achieve maximum benefit with minimal loss of looter lives.
And what happens when they run out of bearers? Even the Imperials take better care of their branded than that.
So yeah, it's such a bummer. Like, it just falls apart. I think that's also something that is aggressively Final Fantasy. Because the same thing happens in Final Fantasy VIII. Like, same thing happens in Final Fantasy X. Same thing happens in Final Fantasy XII. Like, all of these games have bad endings. So the notion that this is not a good game because it's not a good Final Fantasy, or it's not like Final Fantasy, is insane, because this game is more like Final Fantasy games than anyone is giving it credit for, especially in the reasons why it's not amazing. Like, all of its failures are just so archetypal of the failures of this series. It is fascinating that people instead focused on stuff that they encountered in bad faith in the first half of the game, being mad that it has cussing in it, or being mad that it's kind of like a Western thing, or that it's an action game and not a JRPG, instead of being upset that, like, this was a game that was clearly messed with in production and is bad because it is a product of obviously incredibly visibly hasty rewrites and things like that. Recent supply shortages left us with an insufficient resource to feed the Kuza entrusted in our care. Fortunately, the creature was observed to kill and consume the bearers assigned to fight beside it in a mock battle conducted as part of its training. The beast was further observed to enter a state of visible contentment upon feeding in this way, suggesting that live bearers may be its preferred source of sustenance. But this behavior is unexpected, is not unwelcome. Bearers no longer for use of training can now be repurposed as food.
Feeding bearers to it. This is even worse than I'd feared.
Just nuts.
Nothing but a Kashyyyk down here. Hopefully things are looking better upstairs. I should go and see how Doris is getting on.
But yeah, it's just a matter of, like, I could tell right away when people started talking about this game, when I was reading the takes on Twitter, like, literally just like an hour or two after I played my first session, where people are like, this game sucks, it's not Final Fantasy. I was like, these people, one, are engaging in this game in, like, profoundly bad faith, but two, just, they're gonna drop it before they understand the actual problems with this game, and they're gonna complain about symptoms and probably just, like, poor arguments that can't really be backed up meaningfully, or, like, don't really mean or communicate anything. They're gonna complain about that stuff instead of providing the good, important critique, which is like, here's an issue with this game. The writing falls apart by the end. Characters stop standing for the interesting political intrigue because there isn't enough connective tissue to stitch that intrigue into something that makes sense and can be portrayed to the audience. And honestly, the fact that people discoursed this game and complained about it for the wrong reasons is going to be what contributes to why maybe the next Final Fantasy we get won't solve these problems. Because people, when they talked about it, did not talk about the things that would actually improve this game in a meaningful way. And because they were too quick to criticize it and too quick to dismiss what was a surface level gut reaction to this game, as opposed to sticking with it and seeing it for what it actually is, which is like a game so clearly troubled during development, and rushed to meet a deadline, and to hit a target console release window. And it's just like, it's just it makes me sad that people consume the game this way.
No luck downstairs. But I did find out that this place was more than just a prison. Something far more sinister was happening here.
I know. I've been reading some of these documents, and it can't be true, can it? Bearers die every day in service of their masters, but this is so much worse. Pitting bearers against a wild beast armed with nothing but their wits? And all in order to bring about more death. And not just those who could fight, but the elderly, children even. And those who wouldn't or couldn't were disposed of. Whatever that means.
I'm afraid it means they were fed to the monstrosity they kept here.
Then we're too late. And I was a fool to bring you here.
Don't say that. Did you find anything else?
A key. But it doesn't fit any of the locks on this floor.
Perhaps it will fit one of the doors downstairs. There's a corridor I haven't searched yet. Finish up here, then come and find me when you're ready.
All right. I'll be there in a moment.
Man. Just made sad. I just made myself sad thinking about how people engage with video games. It's so frustrating. It's so incredibly irritating.
Let's see what we can find down here.
Not everyone can be a critic, I guess. Everyone is just gonna try to... They're gonna try to play a game and have their base gut reaction be, I'm having fun, yay. It's not curious or inquisitive, it's just, hope game make brain spark juice, yay. Instead of, you know, actually like learning about things and
She sounds close.
making their experience more intellectually interesting.
Who are you?
There's no need to be afraid. Are you alone? Are there any other survivors?
Some of the guards. They're still here. But something's wrong with them. Everyone else was eaten by the monster.
Of course there were.
Thank the Founder.
It was worth our coming. But I'd rather we didn't linger. Are you ready?
Ready when you are. You poor thing. You must have been terrified.
Did Chadwick send you?
What?
He fought the monster. Distracted it so I could run away. He must have sent you. He promised to free the others too. Where is he? He opened your cell, didn't he? He wouldn't be here otherwise.
Chadwick.
Was that?
Monster's back! Chadwick, help!
We have to get out of here.
Doris, keep the girl safe.
All right. You put that bearer-eating bastard in the ground.
Man.
We have to run.
It's waiting for me. I can't let it live.
What is this thing?
Not if it's got a taste for bearers.
This is a Kuza beast. Just looks like a behemoth with a curl wings. I don't know what those are. Okay, Kuza beast. Oh wait, this is a... Why is this a hunt?
The beast will wreak havoc if it ever leaves the prison. I can't let that happen.
I want Doris on my side. Come on, Doris. This is your moment to shine. goofy animations. Wait, is this something? Is this like a hunt enemy, or did I unlock more hunts? I'm nervous about that. If there are more hunts, I mean, I guess that means I'll have more chances to get the material that I need. I guess that would check out. There must be a way to get what I'm looking for the Gododama releases. Stagger damage, so somehow recovered.
This one. Over here. This one. Let's try.
Get dunked on. Alright, so we got another hunt done. That's exciting. We're so close to having max renown Behemoth Shackle. Interesting. What did we use that for? Crafting armor or something?
Finally.
Sid, are you hurt?
I'm fine. I think.
His lips aren't moving.
No.
What is it?
A diary. I gave it to Chadwick before we went our separate ways. He was here. Do you think that creature?
I'm sure he fought bravely to the last. The girl is safe thanks to him.
Chadwick. You fool.
Come on. We have to get her back to the hideaway. We don't want his sacrifice to have been in vain.
Nice.
No.
Okay.
Of course not. I'll see that she's looked after from now on. It's the least I can do.
That was an easy fight, at least. I think we're kind of outscaling enemy damage, which is nice. Oh, it brought us back to the hideaway. Nice. Well, now we can turn in all those quests. Oh, I guess we can also check the hunt board if there are more hunts that populated.
From what I hear, you've barely left the girl's side in days. I hope she's recovering from her ordeal.
She is. Slowly but surely. She's far tougher than she looks. I thank the flames we found her. If we hadn't...
I know. But we did. I'm sorry we weren't able to save Chadwick.
There's no need to apologize. Without your help, I would never have found out what happened to him. How he fought to the bitter end to save her. To save Haida Marie. That's the man I remember. The man I thought of as a brother.
I wish I could have met him. I'd like to hear more about your past. If you don't mind, that is.
Of course. You already met my former master. She trained Chadwick and I to do two things. Kill and obey. We were supposed to be sold to the highest bidder when the time came. But no bid was ever high enough to convince her to part with us. For years, we were her daggers in the shadows. But we could never quite shake our doubts about the things she made us do. And then, one day, we just couldn't do them anymore. So we escaped. But staying together was out of the question. They would have found us too easily. After so many years of training, the pull to serve was always strong. It scared me to think he might have taken another master, become a dagger in someone else's hand.
But even in captivity, the battles he fought were his own. And he died not as someone's tool, but as a hero.
Haida Marie is proof of that. Bearers can cast off their shackles. And the Cursebreakers will show them how. I'll fight until my dying breath to see it done. For Chadwick, and for all of us.
Thank you, Doris. We'll be counting on you.
Okay. Level up. Bad. Okay. It's got a ton of stuff to like just turn in, so let's do that real quick. Get him off the list.
I hear that you traveled to Ash, Sid. Did you by any chance recover the names of my fallen friends?
I did. Yes.
If I may? The Bearer Registry. The director was a brutal man. He got no worse than he deserved.
The registry was all I found beneath the tree. There was no sign of a body. Nor any record of what happened to the children after the orphanage closed.
I pray that at least some of them survived. All their names are here. The ones we lost. My friends. My light in those dark times. I can still remember their faces, like it was yesterday. Children who were taken from their bunks in the morning, never to return. No explanation ever offered.
They'd be happy to know that you survived, Herman.
But why did I make it out alive, when so many others died in that awful place?
It's not your fault. And blaming yourself won't bring them back. Honor their memory. See that their names live on. That way, at least. They're never truly gone.
Thank you. Sid,
Well, good for him.
I'm going to write a book. An account of the horrors of Badbach, and the spirit of those its custodians sought to crush. All of Valisthea will know of our suffering. And in the name of those I lost, I will not let it happen again.
Neither will I.
These records would have been buried for all eternity, were it not for you. Thank you.
All right.
Mid, tell me this is all you need.
All right.
You make it sound like I asked you to save the world or something.
Tell me this is all you need.
It's most of what I need. I After you left, I went over the figures again, and I realised I'd forgotten a 1 and a 0.
And
And a cogwheel. Just a tiny one. Though, that's the problem. Gears that small are a bastard to make, and I may have lost the one Blackthorn spent a fortnight toiling over.
wait. The children. When they took apart your scales, there was a tiny brass gear. Now that I think about it, they didn't use it when we put the scales back together.
The young'uns?
Wow, this
Why
is
would
coming
they-
back.
You know what? I don't want to know. I'll keep working on the model. You go and find that cog.
All right, gotta go talk to the kids, I guess. They're just up here, aren't they?
Has Midadol mentioned a new project yet?
Sid! Is Mid still hiding from us?
She wasn't hiding. She's fine. She's just busy working on her next project.
A new invention? What is it? What is it? Is it an airship? I bet it's an airship!
Do you think she'll let us help?
That just so happens to be why I'm here. She needs something special, something only you three can provide. A brass gear. A tiny one. One that might fit on, say, a set of scales?
Oh, the one you forgot! We remember!
We saved it, just in case. It's in the bag of bits.
Since your lesson, we've been disassembling, then reassembling everything we can find. All the pieces that are left over, we keep under our beds, just in case.
That's good to know.
Clive just doesn't know how to interact.
I found it! Is that all? Just the gear? We have more parts if Mid needs them.
That's all for now. But I'll let Mid know about your hoard. Just in case.
Thanks, Sid.
Alrighty, turn that in. Let's just hope more of these quests are not super long extra steps.
Well, did they have it?
They did. And they kept it somewhere nice and safe. Will it work?
Will it work? He's perfect! You're a genius, Clive.
What exactly are you going to use it for?
Only the most important job of all. The wings aren't going to move on their own, but with the right cog in the right place.
This
Well,
one cog, the
just wait and
load-bearing
see.
cog.
That should do it.
Is this just the test?
Here goes nothing.
Or is this what she was building?
Titan's tits.
What?
It wasn't supposed to fly, was it?
Hugo's pecs.
Of course it was supposed to fly. Wouldn't be much of an airship if it didn't. Honestly, these bloody engines are driving me mad. I was so sure this would be the day she soared. The mithril engine was made to make dreams come true. But maybe this is one dream the world's better off without. Show folk how to take flying. It won't be long till they're raining death down on each other. People will lose their homes, children, their mums, and their dads. Like I lost mine.
I'm sorry.
So am I, Clive. So am I. Sorry that I have to choose. Do I follow my head? Or do I follow my heart?
Good question. The first time I stood on the deck of your ship, felt the wind in my hair. It was like I was flying. But imagine how it would feel to actually do it.
My dad always said there were two ways of living life. Chasing a dream or shuffling to your grave. And he were right. Right about a lot of things. Not that I like to admit it. People need dreams to chase. Especially in a world like this. Right. When this is over, I'm gonna take all my mithril engines to Zemeckis and sling them over the edge. I won't have my dream end up turning into someone else's nightmare.
But all that hard work...
All that hard work will not be used for war, Jamie. But it ain't like it'll be gone. Tell me, Clive, have you ever been on a treasure hunt?
Of course, you've sent me on
Since
400.
Joshua and I were boys. Why do you ask?
Because I'm gonna bury the engine schematics and leave behind a little riddle telling people where to find them. A really hard one, so that only the most dedicated dreamers will ever be able to work it out. Ooh, I can picture it now. Some daft general squinting at the words with a gormless expression on his mug. Like that one, yeah.
Right.
I want a game where we play as Mid. like Mid and Joshua are just the two best characters. I just wish we had Mid and Sid interact before Sid just disappeared from the narrative.
Of course, if I'm putting this engine at the end of a treasure hunt, I'll still need to make it a treasure worth hunting for. Won't be much of a prize if it couldn't even make a toy boat fly after all. My dad always said, dream big. But it ain't the size of a dream that's important, is it, Clive? Only that it's a good one. And I reckon I've got a fair few good uns left in me.
I'm sure you do.
Quest complete. Aiming high. Model airship. Look at that. Mid's dangerous stream of flight immortalized in miniature.